there, I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
You're tuned in to Video Radio on location in downtown beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. And we're talking about finances.
Oh, you mean, like the debt ceiling, things like that?
Yes, indeed. Interesting things. Big profits. Let's jump right in with a clip like this.
Says that Chase Bank has moved to limit cash withdrawals while banning business customers from sending international wire transfers from November 17th onwards, prompting speculation that the bank is preparing for a looming financial crisis in the United States. Now, here is a letter with the name and address information crossed out, alerting customers that they are making changes, that Chase is making changes to their accounts. This is extremely concerning. You need to ask yourself the question, why would they be limiting cash activity, 50,000 or less? Why would they prevent you from sending your own money internationally? It makes you think of all the sinister reasons why. Of course, we think historically to the bank runs that occurred in 1929, the bank runs that occurred in 2008, just about 5 years ago. Why would they be limiting cash withdrawals? Why would they be limiting international wire transfers unless there was some kind of cataclysmic event or bank run or something of the equivalent coming to the United States in the not too distant future? Why? Food stamps shut down in 17 states. People can't get food. They're stacking and filling ATMs with 20 to 30% extra cash. JP Morgan Chase is incurring massive financial losses. And the rats leave the nest. I can't emphasize this enough. Please get this out everywhere. Corroborate these reports. I'm Christopher Green, as usual. Alternative media television, hard-hitting and in your face. Get this out. Make it viral.
So apparently you can't wire transfer your money out of the country in the States now? I wonder if they might be worried about a run on the banks.
Run on the banks, I want you to do your research on Cyprus. They closed the bank accounts of common citizens because the IMF was stepping in and there were riots. But this is not covered. We are a central bank nation right here in Canada. In fact, almost all the nations in the world right now are central banks controlled by one master bank, and everybody's getting hooped because of it. However,
of course, that same bank has been running afoul of the federal judiciary down the States and the regulators.
Yes, indeed. And it is called JP Morgan?
JP Morgan Chase.
JP Morgan Chase. Make sure you get all of those things correctly while you look at billions in fines.
JP Morgan Chase, the nation's largest bank, has reached a $13 billion settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice. The deal resolves a number of federal investigations into bad mortgage loans sold to investors prior to the financial crisis. JP Morgan, of course, was one of the few lenders that emerged relatively unscathed by the recession. At $13 billion, it's the largest ever settlement between the Justice Department and a single company. Under the tentative agreement, JP Morgan will reportedly pay $9 billion in fines and penalties and $4 billion in consumer relief for struggling homeowners. Several media outlets are reporting the settlement came after a phone conversation Friday between JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon and U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. News of the deal comes a day after the bank reached a separate $4 billion settlement with the Federal Housing Finance Agency over claims it misled financial agencies Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac during the housing bubble about the quality of its loans. There's still the question of whether the deal gets JP Morgan off the hook for any criminal liability. CNBC's John Harwood cites sources familiar with the settlement, saying it does not. Instead, as Bloomberg reports, the bank will likely have to cooperate with any criminal investigations of individuals. Mounting legal bills were to blame for JP Morgan's loss of $400 million during the third quarter, its first loss since 2004. For Newsy, I'm Elizabeth Hagedorn.
Now, of course, these guys getting fines like this, I mean, it really is just a rap on the wrist.
Well, it is the biggest fine in U.S. history on a financial institution.
Yes, but
it's like stealing a car that's worth $50,000 and getting fined $1,000.
That's right.
Getting to keep the car.
Which is exactly what happened in 2008. And remember, the big scam that nobody talks about in Canada, we bailed out our banks.
Well, of course, that wasn't anywhere in the corporate media.
No, our bank bailout wasn't in the corporate media because the corporate media is owned by the same banks.
Of course, Mr. Jon Stewart of The Daily Show had a bit of a reaction to this $13 billion settlement that was imposed on JP Morgan Chase.
I love it when Jon Stewart's on. Check this out.
$13 billion. What lucky bastards are getting a bite of that cheese? Well, $6 billion is going to go towards investor compensation, $4 billion for homeowner relief, $2 billion is going to be in penalty fines, though, of course, the government will have to pay JP Morgan's $8 settlement processing fee. Damn you, bank fees! Damn you and your bank! You know who must be thrilled to hear this news? Financial analysts and business reporters who, after years of covering corporate misdeeds, are finally seeing justice served.
What is up with this incredible $13 billion shakedown of J.P. Morgan? This is an arbitrary and political hosing.
I think it's a sophisticated shakedown.
The Justice Department feels like it needs some scalps.
The Obama administration is at war with American business.
Is this a witch hunt?
This was a jihad against J.P. Morgan.
So wait, what I saw as a mutually negotiated compensatory agreement for outstanding liabilities related to some shady business dealings, you see as a shakedown, witch down, scalping jihad. I say tomato and you say it's like if the Holocaust had sex with slavery while the last 10 minutes of Human Centipede watched. I mean, the only way this settlement could get any sweeter is if it was tax deductible.
The final tab could be down to around $9 billion.
That's because the majority of the deal is expected to be tax deductible.
Son of a bitch! This confirms what I've always said. Settlements for corporate fraud and malfeasance and donations to breast cancer charities are equal in the eyes of the law.
So what do you think?
So making the fine possibly tax deductible is a bit of a slap in the face to the American public.
Okay, so while we grasp with logic and reason when dealing with the economy, we do want you to look up fractional reserve lending. They make money up out of nowhere. The government makes the laws out of nowhere. Therefore, poverty is made up out of nowhere.
And of course, it's not a justice system, it's a just us system.
I love that, man. Because remember, if you got money, you can afford lawyers and nonsense. We can't, because we're normal people.
Exactly.
Okay.
And even when the regulators do catch on to malfeasance, there's a bit of a reaction from the banking community.
It's sort of like Nigel Wright getting fired by the Conservatives.
For doing what he was told.
So check it out. You be the judge.
And now to Wall Street, where a former senior examiner at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has filed a wrongful termination lawsuit. The former employee is Carmen Segarra, a 41-year-old lawyer who spent 7 months examining Goldman Sachs' legal and compliance divisions. While doing so, she found that the bank did not have policies in place to prevent conflicts of interest that are required by government regulation. However, instead of being credited for discovering this lack of oversight, she claims she was berated by 3 New York Fed officials who oversee the institution's relationship with Goldman Sachs. According to the lawsuit, the officials were concerned that the findings might cause a downgrade of the Wall Street Bank's regulatory rating. For weeks, the officials tried to pressure Segarra to change her examination findings, and when she refused, they fired her and immediately escorted her from the building. In a statement, the New York Fed responded to the incident by saying that the institution provides, quote, multiple venues and layers of recourse for its employees to freely express concerns. Personnel decisions are based exclusively on job performance and are subject to thorough review. We categorically reject any suggestions to the contrary. In an interview, Segarra's lawyer reiterated her client's wrongful termination and added that bank examiners need to be able to operate without fear of retaliation. And we'll continue to follow this story.
Okay, so
a regulator catches Goldman Sachs doing naughty things.
Yes.
And is dumped by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York for finding these things out. And of course, there's an ensuing lawsuit.
Yes. And then, nobody's going to get it. Think about it, kids. Okay, so let's just take a look at things for a second here. We know that the financial meltdown's coming, okay? It's just a mathematical reality. They're dumping $85 billion a month into the system right now in the United States.
And it's free money for the banks.
Okay, it's just free money. It's just given to the banks to prop up their system that's failing right now. This is guaranteed to fail. Now, if you were a thinking class billionaire, what would you do?
Well, I would be worried about consumer confidence in retail sales.
Yes.
And I would probably divest myself of any investments I have in that area.
So, we would need a clip that would show us that the billionaires were bailing on their own systems.
Well, what do you know?
think?
I do have something that might mention that.
Pray tell.
Yes, check this out.
As the Dow Jones Index soared to record highs in the early summer, a small group of billionaires have been quietly dumping stocks in US companies. Among that group is Warren Buffett, who, despite being a public optimist about the economy, has recently lamented what he called the disappointing performance of such key companies as Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Kraft Goods. The most recent filing for Buffett's holding company, Berkshire Hathaway, shows that Buffett has dramatically reduced his exposure to stocks tied to consumer buying habits. Billionaire John Paulson, who profited handsomely by shorting the subprime mortgage market prior to 2008, is likewise abandoning US stocks. And currency speculator George Soros recently sold off nearly his entire portfolio of US bank stocks, including shares in Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, and Citigroup.
So, if you're invested anything into the American stock exchange, anything to do with the Fed, the American bond system.
Well, it's not like Warren Buffett or George Soros know anything about economics. In fact, they're like amongst the richest people in the world.
So do your research. Don't take our word for it, but we are suggesting that you really start taking a look at RRSPs, any mutual funds, anything like that, because when the billionaires start bailing, it's time to start taking care of business at home. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet. This has been a special presentation of Radio Free Canada on location.
Right here in beautiful downtown Kelowna. Make sure you come and visit us sometime. Get onto the Municipal Sustainability Project and be a part of the solution. So we got more shows coming up. Thanks for tuning in.
See you soon.
That was pretty good, man.
That was pretty good.
I like that. That was good.
100 years ago, when the Federal Reserve Bank was formed, $1 would buy you this much oil. 50 years ago, it bought you this much. Now, it buys you this much. That's not very much, is it? In fact, in the 100 years since the Federal Reserve Bank was formed to protect the currency, the purchasing power of the dollar has fallen by this much. Why did governments stop using gold? In 1914, the British and German governments were committed to various spending programs and World War I, a war that probably needn't have happened, and neither had the money or gold to pay for it. So they took their countries off the gold standard and, free of its restraints, printed the money they needed. In 1971, the American government was committed to various spending programs and Vietnam, a war that probably needn't have happened. And it didn't have the money or gold to pay for it, so it took America off the gold standard and, free of its restraints, printed the money it needed. Sound familiar? If governments didn't have the power to run up deficits, these wars could never have happened. There wasn't the gold to pay for them. The bill is eventually paid by the people through the stealth tax that is currency devaluation by inflation. Now the world operates under a system of money and credit known as fiat. The dollar, the pound, the euro are all government fiat currencies. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be so. It is the law that this government currency be money. Indeed, without that legal enforcement, and the fact that we must pay taxes in this money, that dollar bill or that computer digit that represents a dollar would be pretty much meaningless. Only the government has the power to issue fiat money, but banks can create it through lending. If somebody wants to borrow $10, a bank can create it from nowhere and lend it. It can then charge interest.